Hi, welcome to this week's class. Sorry, it's been a few weeks since I've posted anything in this class. There's been a number of things that have happened which has prevented me from posting. But we're back and I'm going to share just a couple of things that I hope will be really helpful to study this week's lesson. The question I'm going to start with is, how might the ark be a symbol of Christ? And so I want you to maybe just think about that for a second, take just some notes, have a think about how this ark might hold out some of the chaos of the world, the waters of the world that kind of try to get in. I'm going to pull in a verse of scripture from Genesis 6:14. I'm going to use a different version of the Bible just because I think it clearly articulates this verse in a way that helps us to understand it a little better. So this verse is, make yourself an ark and cover it inside and out with pitch or with tar, a kind of waterproof substance. And we're not going to look at Genesis 6:16, but this kind of talks about the door to the ark and how Christ is the door. And that may be a symbol that you might want to look at and explore a little bit more. But what we're going to jump into is we're going to look at a tool. It's called the Blue Letter Bible. You can add either sort of the Google one or the Apple one. Please use the QR code if that works. I'm going to post into the WhatsApp group the links to both of these apps to download them. You can also find this online, and I'll share with you how to do that in a minute. This is the Blue Letter Bible, and I'm going to just bring it up on my screen right now. So just going to pull it over and bring this up. Hopefully that will be helpful. Okay, so how you use this is fairly simple, but there are a few steps, and the steps are very similar to the app. So when you're using the app, I've posted a little video on how to use the app, but this is for using the web page. So we're going to put in Genesis 6 and we're just going to search. We're going to keep it as the King James Version. Then we're going to scroll down to verse 14, which is this verse, which is the one that we just quoted. And then you're going to use this side tool here, which is tools. When you hover over, this will pop up and you're going to hit interlinear. And then when you're on the interlinear, you can scroll down, you can look at the Hebrew words so each of the words has a Hebrew word connected to which has created the translation. And so the Hebrew word number is highlighted here. So we're going to scroll down and we're going to look at this word, which is pitch, which is a strange word. It appears twice in this verse, and thou shalt pitch, and then at the end with pitch. And so you can see straight away that there's different words because they have different numbers for each of these translations. So we're going to look at the first one. We're going to jump in here and just going to click this. And then we're going to look at, this is the word. You can press the button and it will. Okay, so that just tells you how to pronounce it. Then it tells you where the word has been translated. So this particular word is translated 71 times in the scriptures as the word atonement. It's also that same word is translated as purge or reconciliation or reconcile or forgive. So that word comes up time and time again. And so you can see here that this word can be to cover, to atone for sin, to make atonement for. That is one of the ways that you can look, and it's the most translated word is atonement here. And then we can have a look down and look at the definition of that. And then you can also scroll down and you look at every case of where that same word is translated in the scriptures. And that can be helpful when you're wanting to scroll through and look at different translations of the same word. And then you can just go back. So we're going to have a look at that. So that first word, it comes out as atone, which means to cover, kafar. And then the second one, if we look at this one, and we scroll down, it's a different word, it's kofar. And this one translates mostly as ransom, which is really interesting. These are really Christ symbolic terms. And so this is how you can use this translations, using the Hebrew translations, to understand words a little bit better and to give ourselves a bit more understanding or meaning for them. Okay, and I'm just going to come back here. I'm going to skip through these slides really quickly because this just shows you a rundown. So they're the two words in Genesis 6:14. And so you could rewrite the scripture like this. Make yourself an ark and make atonement or covering inside and out with his ransom. And we can look at how the ark can be this sort of covering for us. It's very similar to the covering sort of Adam and Eve put on themselves as they left the Garden of Eden. Christ covers us with his atonement. And so he covers us and protects us. And with his ransom, we're able to get through this life and the storms of this life and the sort of chaos of this life because of Jesus Christ. And I really like this idea of the boat being a covering. When I think about this, I think about the brother of Jared and the barges that they made that were tight like unto a dish. And this sort of idea that they, in order to get air, they had to put holes in the top and the bottom. And if they unstopped one and the water came in, it was the wrong hole. If they unstopped the other and air came in, it was the right hole. And what we let in is really important. Are we letting in air that fills us with life? Or are we letting in water that will sink us? And so think about that as you consider this sort of analogy of the ark and Christ. Are we letting him in? Are we allowing him into our lives that will bring us life and light and joy? That's it for today's lesson. I hope this tool is useful. Give it a go. Download the app and try it out. And try it out with some different verses and see what you find and post it into the WhatsApp group. I'd love to hear from you. Great. Thanks so much.